Do you play guitar? Or maybe even bass? You play any sort of musical instrument and have always wondered how to get into music theory, understanding music, understanding chords, how they work, understanding scales? Well, this video is for you. Most of this video is going to be around a piano, just for simple understanding of music. Let's get that. So this is a piano. This is what's known as middle C, and this is an octave. Here's the scale of C major. The way a scale works is it's made of 7 notes. The root, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, and finally the 8th, which is actually the first. Now I'm going to show you how chords work. To make a chord, you need the root, the third, and the 5th. It does get a bit more complicated than that, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to say that's how you make a chord. And it always works like that. That is a C major chord. That is the root, that's the number 1. Second is D, which is always minor. The second note of the scale is always minor. Third is E minor, always minor. The fourth, F major, fourth is always major. And then G, which is the 5th, which also happens to be the dominant of the chord. So if you were to go back on the first chord, it would be G and then C. So G is also major. A minor, which is the 6th. 6th is always minor. And then 7th is B diminished, which then leads to the root again. To make a chord, as I said, you do the first, third, and the 5th. And how do you make that? Well, a third major, which make the chord major, is 2 tones, 2 steps. So that's 1 step, that's 2 steps. That is C major. That just there is C major. To make a 5th of a chord, you need 3.5 steps. So that's 1 step, 2 steps, half a step, and another step. So that's 3.5 steps. Now, if you, for example, if you want to do a C minor chord, it's the same amount for the 5th, but the 3rd is 1 step and a half. 1 step and a half. Now, if you want to talk about diminished chords, you've got the major chord, which is 2 steps, and then instead of it being 3 steps and a half for the 5th, it's only 3 steps. 1, 2 steps, half a step, and that is 3rd. So that is C major diminished, because the 5th of the chord is diminished. You go down 1 step. To make an augmented chord, it's the same theory, except you go up half a step. Instead of being 3.5, it'll be 4. That's augmented. So these diminished chords and augmented chord are mostly used in jazz, to be honest. So now I'm going to talk about 7ths, which is also used in jazz. If you want to make a C major 7th chord, typically used in jazz, you need 3rd major, 5th, and the 7th. That is a C major chord. And again, if you want to make a C minor 7th chord, you've got to take the minor. This is in the scale of C minor, and then the 7th, the minor 7th, instead of major 7th. You see? So let's do a quick recap. First, C major, 2nd, D minor, 3rd, E minor, 4th, F major, 5th, which is a dominant, G major, 6th, which is always minor, which is A minor, which is the relative minor of the key, and then B diminished, and back to the 1. Now that idea of the 2nd being minor, and the 3rd being minor, and the 4th being major, works with any major scales. So let's take the scale of D major. D major has 2 sharps on the key, F and C sharp. Now, so if I take the scale, D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, which is the 4th, 5th, A dominant, and then B minor, finally the 7th, C sharp diminished, and finally going back to the 1. You see, it works on every single scale. And if you don't know that, obviously it's difficult to write songs. Basic of understanding music theory is intervals. That's a 2nd, which is 1 step. That's C minor, which is 1.5 steps, C major, which is 2 steps, a 4th, which is 2.5 steps, a 5th diminished, which is 3 steps, a 5th normal, which is 3.5 steps, a 5th augmented, which is 4 steps, a 6th, which is 4.5 steps, minor 7th, which is 5 steps, a major 7th, which is 5.5 steps, and finally the octave. So if you are a musician, I hope this video helped you in some way. And if you're not a musician, I'm sorry, this might be a bit of a boring video, but I feel like there are a lot of musicians who want to understand but don't know how to get into it, and I can see that point of view because I only started music theory about 3 years ago. There are more complicated things than this, but this will get you started pretty well, to be honest. If you want to learn more about it, then you should probably look up on the internet or even start music classes. Thanks for watching.
Bye. 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 Bye.